Hello everyone, my name is James Holland. I'm the Assistant Director of Financial Aid at USciences, and I'm here today to walk you through our presentation on in-depth financial aid for the 21-22 academic year. So the basic outline for today's presentation, we're going to briefly touch on some of the issues in the financial aid application process. We're going to review direct versus indirect costs. We're going to touch a little bit on USciences fixed tuition model. We're going to talk about scholarships and need-based aid, and then finally touching on loans. And then we're going to end with a little bit of extra information that might be useful for you. Hopefully you've already completed your FAFSA, but it isn't too late to get it done if you haven't finished it yet. We would remind you that USciences school code is 003353 and to make every effort to apply by March 1st for priority consideration. You definitely want to make sure that you're applying by May 1st if you are a PA resident. The Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Agency gives out a grant to state residents who have financial need and who apply by May 1st. Now, if you have completed your FAFSA, there is a possibility that your FAFSA was selected for a review process called verification. If this is the case, your award letter will have an asterisk letting you know that we will need additional documents and that your award letter will only be estimated until the verification is complete. As I mentioned at the start of the presentation, and I'm sure you've heard by now, USciences operates on a fixed tuition and fees model. This means that while you are at USciences, your tuition will not change from year to year based on university-wide tuition and fee increases. Your tuition and fees will be fixed from the day you start unless you are in a professional program, in which case they will increase from pre-professional to professional years. You can see on this chart that our tuition is fixed at $27,500 for our traditional undergrads, as well as the pre-professional years for PT, pharmacy, and OT. And this slide quickly goes over the progression of tuition for physical therapy, pharmacy, and occupational therapy. This leads us into talking about direct versus indirect costs. If you'll remember from the last slide, $27,500 is the cost per year in tuition and fees for our undergraduate students. This does not include room and board, but it does make up some of the direct costs that you are billed for, that you pay the university for on your tuition bill. Indirect costs would be things like books and supplies, transportation, or any miscellaneous or personal expenses that the student might have for their own well-being. Because USciences has a fixed tuition model, you know what you're being charged from day one of your education. However, most universities will increase their tuition by approximately 3 to 5% every year, so you really don't know what the end cost is for your education. They also tend to offer scholarships that are very large, but they also charge more in tuition. Because of our transparent model, we do consider it important that you consider the bottom dollar over the entire length of your education when comparing schools and scholarship options. USciences does offer a number of institutional awards for students who qualify. Admissions awards the merit-based scholarships based on the student's incoming transcripts. There are also athletic awards for student athletes. If you have a parent or grandparent or a sibling who attended or currently attends USciences, we have awards for that. There are also awards for being in our honors program, and for students who will live in university housing and who have financial need based on filling out the FAFSA, we do also have a university housing grant. Moving on to talking about grants, work study, and other sources of need-based aid, it is important to remember that these are based off of your FAFSA. The USciences Housing Grant is a source of need-based aid for students living in university housing and who have financial need. It is calculated after all other sources of need-based aid are taken into consideration. There is the federal Pell Grant, which comes from the Department of Education. The 2021 maximum for that was $6,345. The state of Pennsylvania has a grant for residents who have financial need. They estimate that their maximum for 21-22 will be $4,122. And then finally, work study. Work study is a part-time job where you earn a paycheck. It is a source of need-based aid, but the money that is on your financial aid award letter for work study does not come off of your tuition bill. There is on and off-campus work available, and the maximum for the year is $2,100. Almost all students who file a FAFSA also qualify for federal direct student loans. These are loans in the student's name directly from the Department of Education to the student for educational expenses. Based on your FAFSA, you may qualify for subsidized student loans, which means that interest is written off on the loans while you are in school. If you don't qualify for subsidized, your loans would be unsubsidized, and that just means that interest will accrue on the loans while you are in school. The interest rate for the 2021 school year was fixed at 2.75 for undergraduate borrowers. These loans do have a very small origination fee at just a little bit more than 1%. You can see from the chart that dependent undergraduate students have maximums that they can borrow through the federal direct lending program. $5,500 total for first year, $6,500 total for second year, and $7,500 total for third and fourth year. Independent students and those with special circumstances may have additional eligibility, and if you have questions about that, please reach out to us. After you've completed your FAFSA and any additional processing, such as verification, the next steps to borrowing federal student loans is to go to studentaid.gov. On this website, students will complete a master promissory note, which is their agreement to repay anything that they borrow, a loan entrance counseling session, which goes over rights and responsibilities of the borrower, and an annual student loan acknowledgement. The annual student loan acknowledgement is new this year and will be required every year for all students looking to borrow federal student loans. Entrance counseling should take between 30 and 40 minutes, and it is a little bit intimidating. It does ask questions about your tuition and how much loans you're going to be borrowing, but entrance counseling does not know what school you're going to attend, how much the tuition is, or how much you're going to borrow. The best way to do entrance counseling is to use big round numbers and try to make it as simple as possible. You do not need to do entrance counseling to the exact penny of your tuition and your loans. It's really more to give you an idea. Master promissory note shouldn't take any more than a minute. There may be a gap that's not covered by financial aid for direct costs. If that's the case, there are additional options for loans. The first that we'll talk about today is the PLUS loan. The PLUS loan is a loan for either a parent or a graduate student. The graduate student would borrow this loan in their own name, but for our undergraduate students, this is an application that your parent completes. The parent applies for the loan, the parent repays the loan, and the loan is not transferable to the student. The parent can borrow up to the entire cost of attendance, including indirect costs for the student. There is also the option to defer payments on the loan until after the student graduates. If a refund will be generated from this loan, the parent can elect that refund to either go to themselves or to the student. In 2021, the interest rate was fixed at 5.3%, but it does have a rather high origination fee at 4.25%. There are different federal repayment options, and parents can apply for these Parent Plus loans at studentaid.gov. The second option under our additional loan options is the private or alternative student loan. Generally speaking, students apply for this loan and repay the loan. Because students are likely not creditworthy, they more than likely will require a cosigner. But unlike the parent loan, this cosigner does not need to be a parent. It can be a grandparent, another family member, really anyone. The interest rates may be fixed or variable based on the lender and the individual application. They may or may not have origination fees, and they may or may not offer deferment. You can borrow from just about any private lender. However, USciences does have a private lending platform at elmselect.com with the lenders that we work with most often. Again, you can borrow from anyone, and we will be able to process your loan. The decision really is up to you. The Financial Aid Office does not make recommendations between PLUS and private or alternative student loans, although we do usually recommend that that students and their families explore federal options before moving on to private options. Every family situation is different, and you really should be reviewing all of your lending options before making a decision. Each one has their own pros and cons, and all choices that are provided are an excellent way to fund your education. Remembering what we've just gone over regarding direct and indirect costs, I just wanted to go over how you would read your award letter from USciences. In the top, you'll see that this is a 2021-2022 Financial Aid Award notification, and this is for a student with an EFC of 0, which comes from the FAFSA. We can see under Scholarships and Grants, which is gift aid, that this student received a Founders Scholarship, a Pell Grant, a USciences Housing Grant, and a federal SEOG grant. To the right, in total gift aid awarded, the sum of their total gift aid for the entire year. Underneath gift aid is the loan section. This shows the student what they qualify for in federal student loans, and you can see that this student received subsidized and unsubsidized student loans. In the next item is work study, and this student did qualify for federal work study, so this student can work part-time and receive a paycheck. You'll also notice that to the right of work study is the total loans awarded. It is important to note that gift aid is always automatically accepted, but loans can be partially accepted, or totally declined. Underneath the work study section, you'll see estimated costs. First, we have direct costs, tuition and fees, room and board, and then underneath that, estimated books and supplies, estimated miscellaneous, and estimated transportation. Those three are indirect costs. You do not directly pay the student accounts office for those charges. Total estimated annual cost of attendance, including indirect charges, $49,750, minus gift aid, estimated net out-of-pocket cost, $25,805, and then after taking into consideration the loans, the annual cost after all financial aid for direct costs is $11,955. If a student and their family decide not to borrow additional loans, University of the Sciences does offer a tuition payment plan. The tuition payments would be broken into 5 interest-free payments per semester, and it can be used in combination with loans, grants, and scholarships. The payment plan looks at the balance not covered by other sources of aid and then breaks it up into 5 payments. Each time you sign up for these payment plans, there is a one-time enrollment fee. In order to continue to receive financial aid from year to year, students must maintain certain minimums of academic performance. For federal financial aid, students must maintain a minimum cumulative GPA of 2.0. Students must also complete 2/3 of the credits that they attempt. There is also a maximum time frame component, which states that a student must complete their degree within 150% of the credits within that major. That is a less common requirement that students have issues with, though. Students receiving FIA grants must also complete 24 credits in their first year in order to continue to receive the FIA grant. These are the federal and state regulations, and they are not in line with academic requirements, which may require higher GPA, higher completion rate, etc. Here are some additional resources for those looking to receive outside or third-party scholarships. FastWeb and Scholly are websites that provide outside scholarship access to students. These are not monitored or policed by University of the Sciences, and these require additional applications. College Board also has additional scholarships, as does YouCanDealWithIt.com, which also provides financial literacy information. The Rotary also provides an outside scholarship that students may apply for. What does all of this financial aid information really mean for you? It means that USciences is an excellent value for your education. We have no annual tuition and fee increases as opposed to other schools, which can save you thousands over the course of your degree. And because you know that our tuition is fixed and transparent, you know exactly what it will cost you to complete your degree from day one. We are extraordinarily affordable, and we are among the top in the nation for salary after graduation. That essentially concludes today's financial aid presentation. Again, my name is James Holland, and I'm the financial aid counselor for students' last names M through Z. If your last name is A through L, your financial aid counselor is Miss Denise Freeman. You can reach the main financial aid line by dialing 215-596-8894. You can send us an email to financialaid@usciences.edu with any financial aid questions that you might have, and I've included a link here for our main webpage. Thank you again for paying attention to this financial aid presentation. I hope you decide on USciences, and have a great day.